Sometimes a single detail doesn't change what a text says. It changes how the entire text is read. This shift in perspective doesn't come from a dramatic discovery or a new translation, but from noticing something that was there all along, hiding in plain sight. It's a quiet revelation, one that reframes our understanding without altering the fundamental words on the page. In ancient writings, small details often guide interpretation. They don't interrupt the narrative, they quietly shape it. Think of these details as subtle signposts placed by the author. They are not grand monuments or loud declarations. Instead, they are the texture of the stone, the direction of the light, the faint echo in a long corridor. For the modern reader, who often approaches a text seeking immediate information or a clear plot, these nuances can easily be overlooked. But for the ancient mind, attuned to a different rhythm of communication, these were essential elements of the story. They provided depth, added layers of meaning, and connected different parts of a larger work in a way that was felt rather than explicitly stated. Understanding their function is like learning a new dimension of an old language. It allows us to move beyond simply what is said and begin to appreciate how it is said, and more importantly, why it is said in that particular way. These details are the connective tissue of the narrative, giving it a coherence that might otherwise seem absent. They are invitations to slow down, to look closer, and to engage with the text, not as a static document, but as a carefully constructed piece of literary art. Biblical authors wrote with intention. Placement, repetition, and emphasis were rarely accidental. In a world without the formatting tools we take for granted today like italics, bolding, or even consistent punctuation, writers had to rely on more subtle literary devices to guide their audience. The choice to repeat a specific word, the structure of a poetic verse, or the strategic placement of a key phrase within a larger narrative were all part of a sophisticated toolkit. These authors were masters of their craft, deeply immersed in a tradition of storytelling and theological reflection that valued precision and depth. Every element was considered. A story might be framed by a similar opening and closing passage, creating an inclusio that signals the central theme. A keyword might appear a symbolic number of times, adding a layer of numerological significance that would have been immediately recognizable to the original audience. Understanding this intentionality is crucial. It moves us away from the idea that the text is a simple collection of historical accounts or moral teachings, and toward an appreciation of it as a complex, multi-layered literary work. These authors weren't just transcribing events. They were shaping narratives to convey profound truths, and the very structure of their writing was part of that message. The details, then, are not decorative but structural, holding the key to the author's intended focus. In the ancient world, texts were often experienced aloud. Details served as signals, helping listeners follow meaning over time. Imagine sitting not in a quiet study with a book, but in a communal gathering, listening as a scroll is unrolled and read. In this oral context, memory and attention work differently. The listener cannot simply flip back a few pages to check a fact or reread a difficult passage. The narrative flows continuously, and comprehension depends on picking up on patterns, repetitions, and verbal cues embedded within the text. An author, knowing their work would be heard rather than read silently, would intentionally weave in these auditory signposts. A recurring phrase might signal the return of a key theme. A shift in poetic meter could indicate a change in tone from lament to praise. A specific geographical name might be used to evoke a whole history of events associated with that place. These details were the listener's guide, the anchors that held their attention and helped them navigate the unfolding story. They created a shared experience, a rhythm that the community could follow together. For us as modern readers, recovering this oral dimension is a powerful exercise. It encourages us to read with our ears as well as our eyes, to pay attention to the sound cadence and flow of the words, and to recognize that these ancient texts were designed not just to be analyzed, but to be performed and experienced. This particular detail appears at moments where the narrative shifts, not loudly but consistently. It is not a dramatic event or a spoken command. It is quieter, more foundational. It can be found at pivotal junctures, often just before or just after a significant turn in the story. Its presence is subtle enough that one could read the passage 100 times and not consciously register its importance. Yet, once you learn to see it, its pattern becomes undeniable. It acts like a quiet marker, a subtle change in the lighting of the scene, signaling that something fundamental is about to change or has just changed. It might appear when a character moves from a state of despair to one of hope, or when a period of wandering gives way to a sense of arrival. Its consistency is what gives it power. It is not a random flourish, but a deliberate, recurring device. Its quietness is part of its genius. It doesn't distract from the main action, but adds a layer of thematic resonance, reinforcing the narrative's deeper meaning without ever needing to announce itself. This is the art of subtlety, where the most important messages are delivered not in a shout, but in a whisper. Some scholars interpret this as literary design. Others see theological framing. And some understand it as a teaching method shaped by tradition. Each of these perspectives offers a valuable lens through which to understand its function. Those who see it as literary design focus on the artistry of the text, viewing the detail as a sophisticated structural element, like a recurring motif in a symphony that unifies the entire composition. They analyze its placement and frequency, showing how it contributes to the narrative's aesthetic and emotional impact. Those who approach it from a theological standpoint see it as a way of embedding core beliefs into the very fabric of the story. For them, the detail isn't just structural. It's meaningful, pointing to a divine order or a fundamental truth about the relationship between God and humanity. It frames the events, guiding the reader toward a specific theological conclusion. Finally, those who see it as a teaching method connect it to the oral traditions from which these texts emerged. They argue that the detail functioned as a mnemonic device or a pedagogical tool, helping to instill key lessons and concepts in a way that was memorable and easily passed down through generations. None of these interpretations are mutually exclusive. In fact, they likely overlap, with the details serving all these functions at once, a testament to the richness and complexity of the text itself. When this detail is noticed, familiar passages can feel different, not because the words change, but because attention does. It's a profound shift in perception. A story you thought you knew completely can suddenly open up, revealing new layers and connections. The emotional weight of a scene might shift. The motivations of a character might appear in a new light. The overarching theme of a book might crystallize with greater clarity. This happens because your focus has been recalibrated. You are no longer just following the plot. You are now tracking a subtle underlying pattern that informs the plot at every turn. It is like listening to a piece of music and suddenly being able to distinguish the sound of a single instrument that was always there, but was previously lost in the larger orchestra. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and its presence changes your experience of the entire piece. The main melody is the same, but your understanding of the harmony, the texture, and the composer's intent is immeasurably enriched. This is the power of attentive reading. It doesn't invent new meaning, but rather illuminates the meaning that has been patiently waiting within the structure of the text all along. The words are fixed, but our engagement with them is dynamic. This is not about uncovering hidden meaning. It's about reading with patience. The goal is not to crack a secret code or to claim possession of some esoteric knowledge that others have missed. That approach often leads to distortion and misinterpretation. Instead, this is an invitation to a different kind of reading, one that is slower, more deliberate, and more receptive. It is about giving the text the space to speak on its own terms and its own time. Patience allows us to notice the things that a hurried reading obscures. It allows us to sit with ambiguity, to appreciate nuance, and to resist the urge for easy answers. It is an act of intellectual humility, an acknowledgement that these ancient works are deep wells, and we cannot expect to draw all their water with a single, quick bucket. Reading with patience means respecting the craftsmanship of the author and the layers of tradition that have shaped the text. It's a reflective, meditative practice that values the process of exploration as much as the destination. The reward is not a final, definitive answer, but a deeper and more authentic relationship with the text itself. If thoughtful exploration like this resonates with you, you may enjoy future reflections on this channel. Our purpose here is to continue this journey of patient reading, to look closely at the architecture of these profound narratives without making definitive claims. We aim to foster a sense of curiosity and wonder, to ask questions that open up conversations rather than shut them down. By examining the literary art, historical context, and thematic depth of these texts, we hope to provide a space for quiet contemplation and deeper understanding. This is a path for those who are not looking for simple answers, but who find value in the thoughtful engagement with complex ideas. If this approach to learning and reflection aligns with your own, we invite you to continue with us as we explore other such details and the rich worlds they reveal. What small detail has changed how you read a familiar text?